Pod on Lansdowne's tour of the American League East heading into 2025 continues with the number one. I'm comfortable enough saying this, and if anyone else wants to challenge you on this, they can. But I'm comfortable in calling you the number one Tampa Bay Rays fan who was raised in Philadelphia. It's Alex Murphy of Raise the Roof, the Raise the Roof pod, friends of the program, coming back on for the second year in a row to preview our foes to the south down on the Gulf of America, as you guys are now situated by.
My favorite Gulf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right there.
Right? Our Rays preview with Alex. We appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy night to chat with us.
Yeah, I'm glad I came on. I definitely really enjoy what you guys do. Obviously, I came on last year. It was a fun time, so hoping for a lot of that coming up this time.
As a refresher for Jake and for anyone who may have missed it last year, explain to us how you became a Rays fan in the Northeast, where you obviously have the Phillies and whatnot, New York right by it, Boston as well. What attracted you to?
It's a story of like me being an impressionable kid in elementary school. So when I grew up, I was a Phillies fan, went to Phillies games all the time, went down to spring training, all that stuff. And then 08 hit, which sounds like a bandwagon thing, but honestly, I don't really consider it that because it's not like the Rays get a lot of bandwagon fans as is. So, but 08 hit, they changed the uniforms. Again, me, impressionable elementary school kid, was definitely loving the unis, the new unis that they broke out. And also they were on ESPN a lot. I think I looked it up on Wikipedia. They had like 13 walk-off wins that year or something like that. So like I saw them a lot as a kid. And for some reason, like the young guys, Longo being there, BJ Upton, Young, Crawford, a star on that team, David Price, just coming up at that point, like something gravitated me towards them. And I understand that the Phillies won that World Series that year. I was at Game 5, so I witnessed it live. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I've made your bed now. No one can blame you, or no one can accuse you of being the bandwagoner now as you sit here in the big 2025 representing the Tampa Bay Rays now on the program. Now, it is an interesting time, Alex, for the Tampa Bay Rays. Obviously not just on the field, because it seems like it's a little bit of a murky sort of roster. I try not to shit on everybody's teams when they come on here, because you're all good sports to come on and talk with Red Sox fans.
I thought that you were going to talk about off the field stuff. Because I was
leading into it. Okay, I was going to lead into that. Yeah, that's what we call in the industry. We like to call that a tease. But on the field, obviously, some question marks here and there, which we can get into. Yeah. But off the field, just the state of the organization, the franchise as a whole, playing in a completely different stadium this year due to the hurricane that tore off the roof. You guys aren't even Raise the Roof anymore. You're just Raise the, because the roof is gone.
So I changed that because we did that on Twitter for like a couple months. And then I was like, the joke is dead at this point. So I just gave up on the idea. Because people's lives were lost. People's homes were lost. Like, people are still recovering. And it happened back in October. It was a very serious thing. I just tried to do like a fun joke to because, through tragedy, people do enjoy humor. So I tried to do that. I was also like, oh my God. So I haven't talked to you guys since all that stuff happened. We were in the middle, like smack dab in the middle of everything, at least online.
Yeah.
Because that night on the Rays Discord that I'm on, someone had a police scanner. And on the police scanner, it said Tropicana on fire. And they had relayed that to us. And I was like, oh God, the Trop might be on fire. So I put it out on Twitter to figure out what the hell was going on. Turns out there was a Tropicana Products, like the company that sponsors Tropicana Field, the juice people. There was a plant down in Bradenton that caught on fire due to the hurricane. And then one of the guys who had responded to us and kind of confirmed all that once we got that figured out, he then took one of the first videos of the roof coming off and tagged us.
Which I thought was like AI at first. Like, that just looks surreal.
No. I was like, holy shit, like, what is going on? And when he tagged us in that video, we gained like hundreds of followers just like that because we were tagged. That video got like 1.5 million views. And like everything that we put out about the hurricane went nuts because people must love natural disaster stuff. But like, it was the most surreal moment of all time, at least for me as a Rays fan, other than like the Brett Phillips walk off, because I've just never seen anything like that happen, like ever. I'm still to a sense in shock about what happened.
Right. So obviously there's that, which, you mentioned obviously the severe real life consequences of what had happened. It seems like baseball takes a back seat to that. In this context, now you guys are now playing at Steinbrenner Field, right by Raymond James, spring training home and high A home of the Yankees affiliate. And then on top of that, the future of any other stadium around Tampa Bay and St. Pete is up in the air. I know there's some local politics at play there. We don't have to dive into all that. We don't need to go into city council meetings, the nitty gritty of the meeting minutes and whatnot.
Well, like, I can summarize it a little bit just to
sure.
Like,
I was going to ask, generally as it stands here in 2025, with all of that in mind, what is life like as a Tampa Bay Rays fan?
It's weird. The Cliff Notes version of the whole stadium thing was that the city council and Pinellas County commissioners originally in the plans had agreed to, if they approved everything, agreed to pay $600 million of the supposed priced out $1.3 billion stadium that was going to happen along with this. The Rays were going to forego over the other $700 million. Basically, they approved it, and in approving it, to an extent, they called Stu's bluff to basically say, hey, we approved our side of it. Now you fork over your side of it, and you'll get your stadium. And he really hasn't done anything since that point. It's been a lot of radio silence. And I think the deadline to actually like start using the bonds to build the stadium is the 31st. So like if they don't do it, if they don't do it, then no new stadium. And I don't know what's going to happen in terms of new ownership or anything like that. But like all of this stuff is a lot of chaotic things. And then you have the team going to play at Steinbrenner, which I understand there was some backlash to that, especially from Pinellas County, because they wanted the team to stay there. But in terms of facilities, that was the best facility that was available in the area. Like I thought it would have been cool if they played at USF, just because Shane went to USF. And I thought that would have been like a cool Shane McClanahan, I should say, because there's two Shanes. But that stadium has like a capacity of like 3,200 because it's a college stadium. So that wasn't going to happen. So they went with the stadium that had the most capacity, that had the best amenities, because the Yankees were going to put that into it. And no one knows what's going to happen, because like the Rays really haven't said a lot on the whole stadium side of things. They've been very radio silent about the whole thing, which sucks. And I think a lot of people just want them to like give updates instead of just like, saying everything, but at least just give us updates. But yeah, I mean, I wish I could tell you more. Like, I'm optimistic about this year. I think it's going to be cool that they're playing in Tampa. A lot more people that maybe couldn't get to St. Pete are going to be able to get to Tampa for the games. The price tag is going to be expensive because it's a smaller stadium. It's 2 times less the capacity, or less than 2 times the capacity of the Trop. So understandably, tickets are going to be expensive. But I mean, it should be cool. Like, this is going to be something really unique. Not like the whole athletic situation, because it's not like the Rays were forced into the whole thing. The hurricane happened, but yeah, definitely going to be weird. I'll say that.
Well, they were forced in a different way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Forced in a sense.
Yeah.
Yes. Not by a douchebag owner. I'll say that.
Yeah.
No, just a douchebag weather system there. Yeah.
Yes.
The
completely
region.
different.
Right. Exactly. But you mentioned the word optimism in there. Even in spite of all that, still some optimism for the Rays in 2025. And I wanted to jump into that because I do still think, the names change, the stadiums can change, the times all change. But at the end of the day, the Rays are still going to have a damn good pitching staff, and I think that's going to be the case in 2025. Do you share that sentiment, especially with someone like Shane McClanahan getting back into the fold?
Yeah, this is the most confident I've felt in the pitching staff in a couple years, just because everyone's healthy. I mean, last year was a piecemeal thing with a bunch of guys who were either coming off injury, guys who were rookies like Taj, who was in his second year, and really didn't have a good 2023, he was kind of getting into his own. And then, just kind of working through other guys like Aaron Savali was on there. He turned into garbage. Tyler Alexander was on there. He turned into garbage. So
and if you can't get through the Rays pitching lap, if they can't fix you, then that's a bad sign. They could probably make Jake an ace, the Rays pitching line.
But before I forget, sorry to interrupt. Aaron Savali, did you know he fits? I guess this is more of a trivia for you, but this works for everybody. He was the pitcher for Northeastern in one of the Red Sox spring training games in like 14 or 15.
I didn't
know he went to college locally here. I did not know that he pitched in. I guess I probably should have put 2 and 2 together that he pitched in spring training against the Sox. But that's a fun fact. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that the other day.
Hey, what's up with North not beating the Sox at all?
Like in Northeastern and BC. Once, right? No, all these years later, yeah. And I said it on last week's episode of the show, and I will gladly mention it again. The Red Sox are too cowardly to do the same thing to the University of Massachusetts Minutemen, but we don't have to go there right here, right now. I'm just throwing that out there again. Go you. But yeah, I mean, the pitching stat you mentioned, we have to kind of piece some things together because Drew Rasmussen wasn't in the fold for the majority of the year. I know he came back, and he looked pretty good as he came back, but for him, for the lion's share of the year, you don't have him. McClanahan, your ace, you don't have him. Shane Baz still dealing with his own stuff last year. You didn't have him. And all of that, I mean, that played a part in the Rays missing the postseason for the first time in a couple of years. But it sounds like you're optimistic that they can get right back to, the Rays that we all know and love. Definitely know and love up here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure you guys are delighted.
God, you guys are so annoying. So annoying, the Rays. They're thorn in our sides.
Hey, it's fun to be that. But no, looking at the
there
pitching staff, looking at the pitching staff, I think that they have depth, which is really good, and they have good depth. It's not like last year where they could pull out 6-7 starters, but like 3 of those guys were kind of just thrown in there just to be thrown in there. Shane McClanahan's going to be back, which is great. I'm glad to see him back on the mound. He looks great. Taj is going into year 3. He had a really good stretch in 24 where he was basically the best pitcher in baseball. If he can have any semblance of that on a more consistent basis, he'll be fine. Baz looked good towards the end of the year, which was a really good sign because I know that he hadn't pitched in a couple years. Who else am I missing? Zach Littell is probably going to be at the back end of that rotation, if not the 6th guy. And he put up a really solid season for someone who really wasn't a starter up until like 23, 24. Who else am I trying to go through the entire
Pepio?
Rotation? What?
Ryan Pepio?
Oh yeah, Pep. I completely forgot about him. He looked very solid last year.
He's shown some flashes definitely at times. No.
He's not anything that's overpowering, but he seems very composed on the mound. His stuff plays and it's good. And he's a confident guy, which is good. So you have all of that kind of coming together. And then also Ras is going to be he wants to be a starter again, which personally I'm not a fan of because of all the injuries that he's had. I think he would be better as either a bulk guy or a reliever.
Swing guy out of the pen. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he could throw gas and he threw gas out of the pen last year, but he wants to be a starter. So hopefully the Rays know what they're doing with that. And I think that they do. But yeah, they have depth, 1 to 5, 1 to 6 that I think is really solid. And I hope that everything works. Again, this is all going to ride on injuries, but they also have reinforcements down in AAA. I think Jacob Wagaspak is a guy who could be somewhere in and around there. I know Alex Faedo, they just traded or got from Detroit, who could be something. They also have Ian Seymour down in AAA, who could be something. So, they have options if guys go down, which I feel are probably better options than what they had last year. But I just think that the depth 1 to 5 is very solid. If you have Drew Rasmussen as your number 5, or if you have Littell as your number 5, that's a damn good rotation if he's, all the way down there, in my opinion.
Jake, do you have a point? I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, no. No. Sorry.
I thought Jake was going to say something. That's the production value you get here at Pot on Land Sound.
No. I guess I I think rotation's going to be solid. It usually is. I'm more interested and curious about the offense this year for the Rays. So kind of walk us through like what your hopes are for the offense and sort of what you foresee kind of like I don't know, I guess just like a lay of the land.
Well, they're playing in a Little League ballpark this year, so that definitely helps.
I was going to ask
Is
about
it
the
small?
ballpark factor.
Is it small?
No, it's the same dimensions as Yankee Stadium,
Oh, okay.
and it's
So-
in Florida. So,
Oh, yeah.
like, take Yankee Stadium plus the Florida humidity.
Yeah.
So it's like even more Little League ballpark. But
Okay, that's
looking
good.
at looking at the offense, I know we had on Mike Cairns, who works for Bay News 9 down in Tampa, and he said that during spring training or when he was there through workouts, guys would yell Steinbrenner if a ball was hit that didn't go over the fence because they knew that the fences were like 8 feet shorter at like in right field than they are at the trot. So they yelled that because they knew or they know that during the year that's going to be a home run. So A, I thought that was a kind of a funny and cool thing that they did. But B, I think it puts in perspective how much different things are going to be. Like, I know I named myself Bilal, who happens to be my favorite player and also went to Maryland. So it's a whole fun combination right there.
Terps, right?
Yeah, go Terps. Hey, they're playing well. They're playing well in basketball. So I'll take it.
I haven't watched much college basketball this year. Are they going to make the tourney?
Oh yeah, they're going to be like a 6 seed. They got a 5-star freshman out of Baltimore who's an absolute stud, and he's going to be a lottery pick this year.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, they're very solid. But so like having guys like Bilal, having guys like Josh Lowe, hopefully Richie Palacios becomes more of a power hitter. You know, they're probably going to stack up the left side of the left side of the play a lot more. Like playing kind of the favorites there, knowing where the dimensions are. And I think that works to their favor, but it just depends on how hot guys stay and how consistent guys stay because Yandy regressed last year. Bilal had injuries. Josh Lowe regressed. Morel was horrible since he came over after that trade. We really didn't get a lot of Junior, but first full year of Junior, very excited about that. So there's a lot of ins and outs, and I also think that this is really the first offseason that they've tried to address issues in free agency in terms of bats because you go out and you get Danny Jansen because they've had a catcher problem. I mean, sorry,
That's all good. Yeah.
I was going to say
all these facts here. It dries out the vocal cords a bit.
No, I was going to say
did you know that? Did you know that Danny Jansen was the first player in the history of baseball to play for both teams in the same game?
I did not. This is news to me.
You nailed it that time, Jake. You got it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So the Rays had Alex Jackson catch for 55 games last year, and he hit 120.
Oh my God.
That's tough.
Yeah. Like, he is a career, 130 hitter, and he's played over, 4 or 5 years. And he was, because the Rays didn't have anyone, because Rene Pinto was supposed to be the guy at Durham. That didn't work out. They brought in Rortvet, who actually was half decent. But, again, they had to, piecemeal the position the entire year. So getting Jansen, a guy who's a good receiver, a guy who can hit for power, I'm a fan of that. I think that was a good deal. And also you go and you get Ha-Seong Kim at shortstop because Taylor Walls sucks. Just straight up. Dude is trash. I'm sorry. How bad his offense is does not compensate for how good his defense is. I understand he was a Gold Glove finalist as a utility guy. I think it was a year or two ago. But, I mean, he pulled out the fight celebration 2 weeks after it happened because he didn't get a hit. That's horrible. Yeah, he did that after he hit a double at a Yankees game, and it took him 10 days because he didn't get a hit. That's horrible.
After that fateful day in Butler County.
Yeah. But besides that point, I think bringing in Ha-Seong Kim is a great I also think that the Rays did a good job at bridging the gap between the prospects that they think are going to be big guys in the future. So Carson Williams is supposed to be that guy at short moving forward. You bring in Kim to be that guy for a couple years. They only signed him to a 2-year deal with an opt-out after year 1, which I don't know if he's going to take. But if they think that Carson's ready to go up at the end of this year, if he's ready to go up in 26, he can then learn under Kim, which I think is a really good thing. And Kim's a great defender. I mean, he was a guy who put up MVP numbers 2 years ago. Like he's had like a 4+ WAR in the last like 3 or 4 years straight. So he's really, really solid. And I think that they address those issues. It's just going to be how consistent those guys are going into this year. But they have pieces, which is good because the Rays had pieces last year, but those pieces fell off a cliff. So if they don't fall off a cliff, then we're good.
Yeah, I think the word you mentioned a few moments ago was consistency. I mean, you could see flashes from this team. I mean, we know what Yandy can do. Caminero is his potential is through the roof. I did not see the bat flip that he had. Wait, when he was out, when he was in the. I thought you meant like during spring training or something like that.
No.
Yes. Oh, the one where it went to Jupiter? Yes, of course I saw that. Yes. Yeah, that was electric.
Earlier in that game, because of like, I don't know if you guys saw how big or how tall the center field wall is. He hit a ball like 110 or 111 off the bat. He hit a 442-foot double. That is the dumbest stat I've ever heard in my life. Yeah,
That's
and then
tough.
he hits the ball.
That's bittersweet.
Oh my god, he is so like I love watching him. He seems like he's really composed. I love his energy.
Kid's gonna be good.
Hey,
Kid's gonna be really good.
Yeah, he's like everything about him is really, really, really solid. I really hope that he pans out because God, the last guy. I don't want to bring up his name, but you guys don't.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about number 5. We don't have to discuss him.
What happened?
What happened?
They got him, Jake, is what they did. They got him.
Yes, right.
And rightfully so, they got him. But going back to the point, you mentioned consistency, and we've seen flashes of guys like Josh Lowe, and Aranda has had some flashes here, and some numbers under the hood for a guy like Aranda have been encouraging.
I love Aranda. I think he's going to be a stud. I hope he's a stud this year. He looked really good in September.
But it was all changes that he had made in 24, and before then, like, okay, are those adjustments going to stay? Listen, there is potential for this offense, especially if Junior becomes the superstar that he definitely could be. But this is a lot of also, like you had alluded to, the same cast of characters that I believe you guys were towards. I think you're like 4th or 5th lowest run scored in the league. So there's a lot of variance on this offense. Sure. And I think the team, because again, I think the pitching is pretty steady, and we'll get to the bullpen in a quick second because I did want to just quickly touch upon that. But I think the Rays this year go as the offense goes. Some teams it's vice versa. Sometimes they need everything to go together. I think the story of this team this year is how well does the offense bounce back? Is Brandon Lau able to get back to some of those power numbers? Maybe not like in 2019 or so when he was hitting like 40 fucking homers a year. It felt
I really want him to hit 40. He's got the short porch.
I was going to say, he's got the short porch to help, so he might be able to.
Best case scenario, he wins MVP and hits 50.
Could you imagine? Right? Oh boy,
geez. I would like cry tears of joy.
Yeah. So, but is he able to, get some of that consistent power back to like what we had seen? Is Josh Lowe able to get back to that 2023 form that he had shown? Is Aranda able to continue to take those steps forward? That's where the story of this Rays team is written, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I will say last year they were really consistent at trying to hit the 500 mark because they hit it like 30 plus times.
You and us both. Back to 500.
Yeah. And then they failed at hitting the 500 mark because they finished 80 and 82. So
sorry about it.
Yeah, it's fine. I do think it's hilarious though, that whole thing. But consistency is going to be a big thing. I feel like the Rays have like a hope and pray method that like they've done for multiple years. Like for example, I don't want to keep like dogging on Walls, but like I feel like he's a great example of like the hope and pray method where like sometimes somewhere it's going to work. Like it worked at the start of 23 and then he regressed back to the mean. Like they keep wanting to hope that these guys are going to turn into something and they don't always do, which is, I feel like that's kind of an issue, which is why I'm really happy that they reinforced some pieces in free agency, which they've really not tried to like do previously. But yeah, I really hope again, using the hope and pray thing. I hope that things work out. this year, because I know that there are a lot of guys who are either hopefully going to have breakout years or guys who are going to bounce back, whatever it might be. But also, I really hate this method, and I just want like guys that are good. I don't want to have to be like, oh,
Just
he's going to be good this year. Oh, he's going to be bad the next year. Like I want even, and we're not at even yet. And hopefully, I keep using hopefully. God damn it, this stupid method. But yeah, I want things to be like this. I'll say that.
There you go. Have it plateau a bit. That's okay. It's okay to find with someone being a steady Eddie. It's been Nick Anderson, and in the past, we've seen Pete Fairbanks emerge. We've seen guys here and there emerge. Who is, and I think I asked you this question last year. I'd be
Jeffrey
interested to see
Springs.
who you said. Jeffrey Springs.
Dog.
Who is going to be the guy in 2025 that Kevin Cash in the front office goes into MLB The Show, create a player, turns up all the attributes for a relief pitcher, and adds to the bullpen? Who's it going to be this year? Because the Rays you guys always pump one out of like a fucking factory every single year, and it mows everyone down.
They pumped out Useda and they pumped out
Useda's what's Useda's deal? That guy's a monster.
Dude, he's so good. Like, he was very okay with the Dodgers. Like, he wasn't great. He wasn't horrible. And then they got rid of him, and then the Rays picked him up. Or I don't know if it was a trade or whatever it was, but dude's a dog. I forgot. Sorry, I think they got Manrod in the, I want to say it was the Harold Ramirez deal, potentially. I don't know. But again, another guy who kind of came through, has looked really, really solid. Love his stuff. I think those are two guys to watch. I don't know about anyone else. Like, it's going to be a wait and see thing to see who else does stuff. I really hope that Pete is someone who is like, he's had the whole, like, he can't pitch under a certain degree, or like, fair temperature. He's got the whole thing with his hands.
It's like Tua.
Yeah. I mean, Tua's got his own issues. My dad's a Dolphins fan, so I have to deal with him complaining.
Yeah, to keep it with Florida-based ball throwers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that those are probably your two big guys, and then we'll see Pete be that guy at the back end of the road. At the back end, being the closer. But I mean, Uceda can close. Manrod can close. Like, they have options, which is really good. And then like guys like Garrett Clevenger are going to be pretty solid. Kevin Kelly has been really solid since he came up in 23. Hopefully he can continue that. So they just have a bunch of pieces. I will say, I don't know. Have you guys seen like the different like quotes and hit things that like Pete has said in like post-game press conferences and stuff?
No. I know he has a bit of a reputation to be a wild boy in press conferences.
I love him. He's great. So during, I don't know what it was, but like a couple days ago, he pitched in like his first game, and he was talking after the game with reporters. And one of the cut things of it was him saying, "What is the governing body in tennis?" And it was completely out of context. And I don't understand.
What is the governing body in tennis?
It's
a good question.
Like USTA?
I was going to say, I don't know.
Or the UTSA, the United, no. No. It would be the USTA, the United States Tennis Association. I think.
Sure.
I don't know.
Or like the World Tennis, the WTA or something.
I don't know, but like he just pulled that out of nowhere, and I was like, "The hell is he talking about?"
Yeah. Hey, you learn something new every day. It enriches the mind. Any of our tennis heads who listen to this program, you can go ahead and tweet at Alex Murphy Jour, Jour, as in journalism, or at Raise the Roof TB if you want to let them know what the governing body of tennis is.
I'm a big fan of Francis Tiafoe, by the way, because he's a guy who trained in and around where Maryland was, and he's like a big Maryland guy. So I've always been a big supporter of Tiafoe. That was just a complete aside.
There you go. On the side note, Alex, if you take a step back and look at this team, kind of a three-pronged question.
Yeah.
What is the apex of this team? Like, realistically, what is the highest they can reach? Where's the lowest that they can realistically go? And then in your heart of hearts, where do you lie in terms of what you anticipate for Tampa Bay in 2025?
Yeah, so I think because I saw T. Crass, who's one of the guys for 95.3 WDAE, which is a radio station down in Tampa.
Sure.
He said 95 wins and fighting for the AL East title. I think that that's a pretty good like peak for them. Is if everything works out.
If all goes right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good ceiling. I would say floor would be 77 to 80 wins, kind of hovering around where they did last year. I think comfortably they could be anywhere between 85 and 88 and sneak into a wild card because I don't think that they have like unless the offense goes bonkers. I just don't think that they have anyone who's going to wow other than Junior. Like I mean, Bilal is obviously going to benefit from playing, having the short porch, but like even to that extent, it's only 81 games. He's still got to perform on the road. And other guys who are going to benefit from that are also going to have to perform on the road. So, yeah, I think 85 to 88 is like a realistic expectation, and they get like wild card 2 or 3.
Gotcha. Jake, did you have any last questions? Because I had one more question.
No, I guess just responding to that, I think like large portion of the AL is kind of in that like high 80s sort of range, which is what is going to make this year interesting. I think, everybody but the Jays, I feel like in the AL East is like kind of got in that area.
The Jays are just brutal.
But yeah, I agree. I think probably the high 80s somewhere there. I think that's kind of where we are likely to end up as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of teams that are just going to be fighting for those wild card spots because I think as of now the Yankees are pretty clear favorites in the East, and then kind of from there it's just going to be who either if someone can challenge them or like who can kind of stay around that mark to get into a wild card spot.
Yeah. Right. Alex, last question I had: how happy were you to see Arsenal score 7 goals today?
Oh,
because,
dude!
By God, did they need it?
They didn't need to score.
Liam's
7.
a Liverpool fan, and Liam wasn't able to make it for this interview. He's covering the Trump speech right now, but it's an Arsenal-friendly zone right now.
Yeah, dude, it's like I'm glad they did. I'm glad that they didn't need to score that many, but for goal differential, we are in a good spot going in.
Yeah, coming back to the Emirates with PSV, give the boys a little break if they need to. Even start Sterling.
Like if you score 7, then like the other team just blows.
Yeah, and it could have been 7-0 if number 5. The problem with number 5 is on this segment of the show that we're talking about right now. If fucking Partey doesn't manhandle someone in the bottom,
he's got his own issues. Yikes.
Yeah. No, I need him. I need him sent to Siberia.
Yeah. So what's the situation like with the quarters? Are they? Do we know like who they're gonna play if they?
If we advance, we would play either Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid. Depends on what happens in there.
Well, it was a fun run while it lasted.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just get them next time. Alex, if people
hat trick in both games.
Yeah, God, no kidding. Yeah, especially at the Bernabeu, it's going to be real fun times. Alex, if people want to hear more from you or the rest of your team with Raise the Roof, because I know that they weren't able to make it, but have been in conversation with them, where can they find you guys?
Yeah, so we are at Raise the Roof TV on Twitter/X. Instagram. We're getting more podcast clips up on our YouTube channel and also Blue Sky. I've been trying that out. Blue Sky is a pretty fun platform, so I've been enjoying that. As for the other my other co-hosts, Evan Gibson and Evan Lynch, I think I need to look up both of the things. I think Evan is Evan Lynch 4 on Twitter, and Gibby is EC Gibby or something of that nature. But I have them all tagged in our bio. So if you want to follow them, feel free. But yeah, we try to post podcasts as often as possible. We've been trying to put out content as often as possible. Really excited for everything coming up this year. Hopefully we can get to some games. I know we're definitely going to be hitting the minor leagues plenty because the Rays have a lot of really solid prospects across the board that we're excited to see. I didn't even talk about Chandler Simpson. Dude, that guy, if he put it – like he could probably race Usain Bolt and it would be somewhat close. Or no
competitive for a little bit.
Dude is so – he beat out multiple infield singles like it was nothing. And I've never seen that before. So, I mean, guy's a dog. He's going to not – he won't make the Major League roster, but he's definitely going to be in AAA to start the year. I mean, if you can steal 100 bases in a season – that's and hit 350, then you're doing something right. I understand it's at the minor league level, but wow. Very excited for the season. Excited to see, just excited for baseball to be back, honestly. Like,
Absolutely.
I've been missing baseball for a while. I'm loving college baseball being back. Loving watching meaningless spring training games that people are paying way too much money to go see. So
Ball
yeah,
got the
definitely a good
edge.
time off.
Absolutely.
sure.
Alex, with Raise the Roof, we appreciate it as always. And hey, do us a favor this season, even if games aren't at the Trop, check in on Fergs for us, okay? Do us a favor.
Yes, I love Fergs. Fergs is the absolute best. Mark isn't. He's a saint. He's a saint.
I have a question.
Up.
Do we know if the cowbell is moving to Steinbrenner Field with them?
God, I hope not.
I don't know. I mean,
I hope not. I fucking hope not.
I don't know. I mean, it could be like a Mississippi State situation where like they only allow cowbells at certain events, and like they allow them at baseball games, and they are allowed at baseball games. So I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll find out soon enough. Alex, again, thank you, dude. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.